אז אנחנו בטייקדאון, פודקאסט ה-MMA הרשמי של אגדות. אני ארקדי סצ'קובסקי, זה עידו פריינטה. Just give me take a breath. And we're here with the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man with the biggest arms and the greatest charms, hailing from West Lynn, Oregon, the undisputed, undefeated people's champion, the American gangster, Mr. Ch'L P. Sonnen.
What's happening, fellas?
And I just got made wait with this introduction.
That was beautiful, by the way. You did a very good job. Interesting hairdo you're working over here, by the way. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm interesting so far.
You know,
I like it on you. I don't want it, but divorce.
Yeah, get divorced. Get
I'm
a little
sorry
bit.
about that.
Yeah, and
You're sorry. You should be happy
I'm
for
sorry.
me.
Congratulations.
And I just said, if hair was important, it wouldn't grow on your ass.
Sure. That's fair enough.
So, how is it in Israel? How many times did you play Rocketman here already?
Oh, boy, Rocket Man. Is that a game?
No, Rocketman, the song of Elton John.
Is that... He's not Israeli?
No, but the Rockets are on.
Oh, I got it now. The Rockets. Yes, between the Rockets and the bland food, yeah, I've had a great time. Yeah, why don't you guys use salt, by the way? You know, like
Why
flavor?
do we?
Why do you not?
Where do you eat?
Oh,
Where
for
do you
heaven's
eat,
sakes.
man?
Right down. I just ate right downstairs.
No.
And this linguine. Now, linguine's supposed to come in a broth, garlic, butter. Dry linguine. There's no salt on the
Why
table
you eat in the
anywhere.
hotel?
Why do you eat in
It's
a
a
hotel?
Sheraton. There's a beautiful hotel.
You have a Sheraton in America?
I do.
That's why you don't eat in Israel in Sheraton. You have to go to the city. You have to go to other places. You find the smallest place with the best smell.
That's the
There
place.
we- that's the
And how's Jaffa, by the way? Is that overrated or is that pretty
no,
good?
It's good. It's
Okay,
good. It's good.
I'm going there tonight.
Yeah.
Jaffa,
very
Ark, those are Jerusalem, of
Okay.
course. Those are the places when you want to eat.
My wife just, all she wants is bread and hummus. But is that a good place to go, Jaffa? We can find that?
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, simple request,
It's like the
right?
original.
Okay,
Yeah, so,
So if you want to go somewhere, you want to go there.
go there.
this
All right.
and try knafe. I will write that down
Thank you.
for you.
Thank you. Try it nothing. All right, thank you.
So let's jump right in. I want this question. I asked one of your mentors, Randy Couture. You started like him as a wrestler, wrestling and trying for the Olympic team, and then you went from being a wrestler, trying for the Olympic team, to fighting in a cage in your underwear with other men.
That's true.
Why?
Oh, how? Why? For me, it was just an easy transition. You know, you get done with wrestling. That was a sport that I loved, but it's a dead end. There's really nowhere to go. And I mean, even trying to make an Olympic team, as honorable as that is, you know, after college, it's probably time to be done putting a singlet on and trying to pin another guy to the ground. It gets a little weird at some point, but
When you look him in the eye.
yeah, it kind of is. But I had just I was training with Dan Henderson and Randy Couture. We were all trying to make an Olympic team, and we went to practice every day at 3:00. And when the Olympic trials were over, I showed up for practice at 3:00, just like any other day. And they were wearing fighting gloves, handed me a pair, and we just started doing that instead.
And starting actual fight in a cage professionally, when that happened.
I had my first professional fight in 2001, but I was doing amateur fights. I had my first match in 1997.
1997.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Which seems like yesterday. I remember it so clearly. Seems like it just happened, but was it 22 years?
where was it? Because it's probably, and I didn't watch the fight. I don't know how many people watched that fight, but it's probably in the basement somewhere.
Yeah, kind of like it was like in a tent. It was at a fairgrounds, yeah, and they put a tent up and they brought a ring in. It was a boxing ring, and Matt Hume was the referee. I remember that was a big deal. Like for me at that age, it was a big deal to be refereed by Matt Hume. Maurice Smith was in attendance. Yeah, right. See that, and that was a really cool thing, you know, particularly at that age and that time for me. But yeah, it was a big deal. I went out there with my mom, and there must have been 200 people there. But that was the biggest crowd I'd ever performed in front of ever. You know, I felt like that was superstar
That
level.
was amateur fight?
That was an amateur fight. Yeah, all the rules were the
amateur
same.
fights back then?
Yeah, the rules were the same, but the way the commission was set up, they designated a different an amateur license versus a professional.
Because of taxes.
No, but I lived in the United States in 1999 to 2001, and I started fighting in 2000 in the Midwest, and there were no amateur fights back when we were fighting, everything was pro. Everything was everything. They sent into share dog. Everything was you did something, share dog.
Sure.
Did something, share dog.
Yeah.
So
Still that way.
I didn't remember. I didn't remember that there was an amateur and a professional.
Yeah, and to go back that far, what'd you say, 2000 or 2001?
Yeah, 2000 was.
And I can't fully remember, but I can tell you this: look, we're in Oregon now. Portland's where I live. We have the commission oversees all the amateurs as well as the professionals. I know Washington State also does that same thing. But nationwide or the Midwest where you were, I don't know. I don't know if they have that distinction out there.
And it wasn't MMA back then. It was no holds barred. It was
Sure.
called no holds barred.
And it's funny you say that. When I did it, so just a couple of years prior to what you're talking about, we called it pancration.
Also, yeah.
Which is appropriate, right? That's really
Yeah,
that's
also.
really what this sport is. They call it MMA now, but it's really the sport of pancration. We should call it pancration.
Yeah, and you said no holds barred. When I watched MMA in Israel in 94, 95, I watched it on tapes. It was like buying, excuse me for the language, porn.
Sure.
Yeah, with a Sharpie, like says in Russian, because the Russian were pirating all the tapes from the States, from Russia. They said, fight with no rules. Watch it. A Russian versus a sumo fighter. Watch it. And that's how I watched the first UFCs and the fights that they had in Europe, because in Europe they started to do MMA around the same time as
but
the
in
UFC
Europe they called it free fight.
Yeah.
And because they're more kickboxing oriented, then they would have a rule where you could touch the ropes one time to restart. So if you had like a quick submission, then the fight goes on again. I did that one once too. It was crazy.
That is crazy, but I kind of like that rule. I've never heard of that, but you can do it once.
Just once.
Okay, but it'll break the action. But only once.
No.
My understanding?
Yeah, but if you touch the ropes, then doesn't matter what happens in the fight, I win. Unless you make me touch the ropes again, and then we'll go to the scorecards.
Okay. Now, touch the rope. Like, if I push you into the rope, that's a violation.
No, I have to hold.
Oh, you have to grab it. But you get one freebie.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, it's weird. I agree with you. It shouldn't be a rule, but I'm into it.
And
For that time frame?
Yeah, it's just to prevent those quick submissions.
Sure.
Somebody goes crazy, gets caught in the guillotine.
One freebie.
Yeah.
I like
Let's
it.
go.
That's clever. Whoever thought of that, that's clever.
If the rule was existed in some fight that I remember in the 5th round, around the 4-minute mark.
Yeah, MMA in a ring was a totally different sport, though. Yeah,
It was.
It really was different. I'm glad they don't do that. I mean, the cage is such a spectacle. As a viewer, it's just something special, when you see the cage. But also for safety reasons. I was in a company called Bodog, and they were doing MMA, but it was in a ring. And I saw, and this one guy, they went over the top, both guys, they both fell over the top, and then the guy on bottom was like teeter-tottering. So his back had the rope. It was screamed out in pain. His head was off his feet were off the mat. He's got another guy on top of him. I never wanted to see a ring again.
Yeah,
Thank God his back didn't break, but I still remember that moment.
I remember people flying off the top rope, looked like a Royal Rumble,
Yes.
WWE stuff.
Yes, just for safety reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, the cage does. I can remember the time when people thought the cage was in a steel cage and human cockfighting, but over time we found out no, that's the safer of the apparatuses.
And it's also changing your fight tactics. Like
The game plan.
The game plan, everything. I want to ask you, we talked about Royal Rumble. I started following your career around the WEC days. And something happened when Ch'eyl became not just a guy from a main roster in WEC to a guy, okay, I know him. And you started to talk, to promote. What made you do the change? Because you were like not talking about boxing and Muhammad Ali and all those great names, but MMA, nobody did it. Nobody talked.
Sure.
What made you do that?
Okay, so I never really just started talking, but I never had a camera to talk to. Podcast wasn't even a thing back then, and digital and media. I mean, it was a little bit of a different world. Twitter didn't exist, and Facebook wasn't a word back. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is I was never one of those guys that thought this sport was about honor and respect. This sport is a cage fight. It is not martial arts. That term came up in 2001 to get a law passed in the Nevada State Legislature. And so somebody sat down and said, this is mixed martial arts.
John McCarthy, actually.
Fair enough, but it's a fake term, and that's not what the sport is. You bring up no holds barred, and I bring up pancration, but it's a cage fight. And I didn't see the little league aspect of, the sportsmanship, and it's fight. But I really didn't change in the WEC days, but the WEC was my first opportunity to get in front of a camera. So I think that changed a little bit. And it was very edgy when I was doing it. You know, now it's just kind of the way that the sport is done, but at the time it was seen as rude and disrespectful and mean, but it was intended to be. I was trying to pick a fight. I'm not sorry that it happened.
Yeah. But there is a little bit of like bipolar around that subject, and I know that you have your own opinion, like around the BMF belt. You had mixed opinions about it, and you said like for one thing you cannot make a belt that you won't say the name on national television.
Fair point by me. Right. If you got to use an acronym, then we probably got a problem here.
I don't want to kiss ass. I want to say like everything you say is a fair point.
Thank you.
But on the other hand, you gave props, if I'm not mistaken, to Colby for saying the thing about the train with Matt Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
And when do you draw the line?
Yeah, and by the way, I had to hear you out when I agreed with your statement. I didn't. Yeah. You hadn't finished it yet. I don't know that I gave Colby props on that. I think I gave him a pass because he's my guy. But I don't know that I officially gave him props for that. And you know that line's a tough question, and I really couldn't answer it. I've heard other people try, and I don't think anybody's ever articulated it. But there's certainly places you wouldn't want to go. You would not want to attack somebody's nationality, or their ethnicity, their religion, their gender. I mean, there's some that you got to stay away from, right? Society still has its rules. But as far as trying to get a reaction from a guy and, you know, maybe even teasing, which is not a nice thing to do, but maybe teasing, I think if you can do it in a charismatic and funny way, and that's one of the reasons it's hard to answer the question, is some people can get away with things. They can present it. Joe Rogan, by example, could present something that you'll just accept. Yeah. He's smart enough, he speaks well enough, he's funny enough, but some other guys could you know, be out for it. You could get in real trouble.
We here in our channel and on the podcast try to promote and to give a stage for young Israeli fighters. And like one of the things is like we're putting camera in front of them and we're like, go, talk about whatever you want.
Sure.
And you know, in wrestling, professional wrestling, there is like, I don't know who said it, maybe Bobby Heenan or someone that said, okay, it's really simple. You talk about yourself, you talk about your opponent, you talk about your fight. That's it.
Sure.
In MMA, it doesn't work like that. And maybe you can give some tips to the Israeli fighters that are watching, listening. What can they do to like training the muscle of talking?
Yeah. I feel I have to hold something. I've been turning the water for a while, so now I pick the. You know what? It's funnier on the bus. Okay, here's what I would tell you. I will hear fighters say a lot. They'll complain to Dana White or they'll complain to Scott Coker. I'm not being promoted enough. You're not promoting me enough. And I'll sit there and I'll hear it and go, okay, but you got to tell me what that means. What does it mean to be promoted? Does it mean your face isn't on enough billboards? You know, not enough marquees, not enough. What do you mean you're not being promoted? Let me answer the question. All promotion is storytelling. It is nothing else. If you have a story, remember the 5 W's: who, what, when, why, and where. If you can include those 5 things, you have a story. Now, take it out, tell people your story. Some stories aren't good. So if you don't have a good story, then you're going to have to change. You're going to have to find what we call a new angle. But it's still just a story. Come out and tell your stories. A lot of fighters that say they're not being promoted enough will also sit at a press conference and say, I have nothing to say. And I'm going to do all my talking in the ring. It's like, but we're at a press conference. That's literally all you do is talk. That's why the microphone is here. It's to talk.
Yeah.
And I do think it is very interesting when people want to call this sport martial arts. And I'll go along with the masses. We're now calling it martial arts, even though it's not. We'll call it martial arts. Martial arts is a form of expression. It's a form of communication. And human beings, what separates us from the animals is our ability to communicate. So if you say you want to be a martial artist, but then you can't talk into a microphone, it just doesn't make any kind of sense. And just don't ever forget that. You asked me to give advice to younger fighters. That's what I would tell them. Just don't ever forget. All promotion is. It's not billboards. It's not TV. It's not countdown shows. It's not magazine covers. It's storytelling. Have a story. Include the 5 W's: who, what, when, why, and where. I have to also know why. Don't call out Conor McGregor and walk away. Okay, great. Conor's the who. But now tell me when, why, what, and where. Why are you calling out Conor McGregor? And tell the truth sometimes, because it's a money grab. That's it. Okay, great. That's not a good story. But at least you've answered the question.
Yeah.
So you think that Nate is doing it right, because Nate is apparently getting every fight that he just calls out in the end of the previous one.
Sure. Nate does, yes. Nate does a fantastic job. I think both the Diaz boys are unintentionally, I must say, I don't think
unintentionally,
they're
right?
unintentionally brilliant. Everything they do works out. Everything they do gets more media attention. I remember the day that Nick Diaz skipped a press conference and got more media around skipping a press conference than if he would have sat down and lit up a joint, next to George St. Pierre and Dana White. It was unbelievable. Unintentionally. Sold more tickets, gained more interest, and got more pay-per-view buys. But brilliant nonetheless, whether it was intentional or not. Both of those guys, just every time they make a mistake or every time it all works out. It just works out for them.
Yeah.
Do you agree with me, though? I mean, don't they do some great...
Actually,
it's
that was supposed to be an item, so I will get into it. I want to ask you, Ido and I will already picked two people.
Okay.
The best mouthpieces. One in pro wrestling, the other one in mixed martial arts.
Okay.
So,
go.
For me, it's The Rock and Connor.
Okay.
We have a sign here. Now we'll do in Photoshop, Mr. Obvious. For me, it's Nate Diaz, because he's selling the next fight before the fight even finished, and he does it unintentionally, and that's the like when we talked about pro wrestling, like when there is no script, it's the best pro wrestling.
That's true.
And
Sure.
Nate Diaz doesn't have a script.
Yeah.
And in wrestling is Roddy Piper, because
really?
nobody
Nice compliment.
Nobody can do a half black, half white face today,
Sure.
or half of the stuff that he did back then, 80s, 90s, and keep on telling about it.
Sure. Yeah. I think he might have even been in the late 70s, but I to your
No,
point.
but like the
Yes,
black
of
face,
course.
all the talking was in the 80s, 90s.
Sure. But I mean, the times have changed. The 90s even would have been a little late. I think Piper, one of the reasons he got away with it. I think maybe he had to. I think it was even earlier. Were you asking me to answer that same question?
Yeah.
Okay. So I
That's
think
why we shot it.
I gotta tell you, I gotta draw in wrestling. I know you gotta pick one, but I just gotta draw. They were two totally different. But I've got The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, the Stone Cold.
Yeah, they were very different, but boy, were they ever compelling. Now, The Rock could also sing. I mean, if you're just talking about a mouth and a voice, The Rock had some other talents. I don't know if you've seen Moana and stuff. I mean, the guy's brilliant.
That's
the guy,
my son's favorite song.
Wildly talented man. Stone Cold's approach was different, but it also, was also very innovative for the time that it happened.
He was the bad guy,
yeah,
the really
it was
bad
rough.
guy.
Remember when he said the word ass, which isn't even a four-letter word? They almost fired him for it. It was such a big deal. That was such a brash thing to do. Then he adds the flipping off, and now he's drinking beer. I mean, he changed the industry. Yeah. Not just that company, the sport. He changed the industry, and I think he gets credit for that. So I got to mention them as a draw. And you want to know, and I'll probably need a little time to prove my point. I really think Adesanya is going to come along. And
I think so.
Yeah, he needs a little more time. I don't know that we could throw him in there just yet. I think to your point of Connor, who's done some really special stuff.
I think he's going to take Connor's spot.
I
think at some point he will be a double champ. And I think that he's going to make those big purses.
On trends,
10 million.
On trends, I saw a podcast, couple of podcasters that told, Rogan said it, Schaub said it, I don't remember who else said it, Barstool maybe said it, that he's now more trending in the States and in the world than Connor.
Wow. Well, and don't forget, he just broke a record. There's only so many records you can do in this sport. He's already got one of them. 57,000 live people came out to watch him and Whitaker fight. Whitaker gets credit for that too. But I mean, there's only so many records you can do. He's already got one. He's been in the sport how long? 2 years or something?
Yeah. 2 years.
He's already got a record plus belts.
Yeah.
Double interim champion, which is funny. That's a brilliant line by him. Did you hear where he said that? When he beat Whitaker, he didn't say I'm now the undisputed champ. He said I'm the double interim champ. Come on, that's brilliant stuff right there.
That is.
Dances on the way to the ring with his buddies in a choreographed. I talked to him after that. I don't know if you guys heard this or heard him talk on somewhere else. He practiced that the night before. Didn't tell the UFC. They did it like 4 times. When they came out, that thing looked so. I thought they'd practiced that for 10 years. I thought that was like something they performed, in high school or something. And no, they practiced it 4 times, and he delivered that on national television live. Oh, by the way, walking to the ring to fight the baddest guy in the world.
For
There's
his
something
title,
special there.
Confidence.
For his title,
sure.
Yeah.
And how do you relax in that moment, though? Nobody puts on a show during their walkout. You do it on the walk back.
That's just when you believe in yourself that much, and you know nothing's gonna go other than my plan.
Sure. But you know from your time fighting, I mean, you would agree with me that energy is really important.
Yeah.
You got to every bit you can, right? I mean, even in between rounds, the way you breathe,
everything.
When you take your drink, I mean, it's so important. He danced on the way to the ring and then has to go 25 minutes with the baddest guy in the world. I mean, come on, there's something special there.
I think we're excited about it because I don't know how the three of the people that are sitting here know how to dance.
That might be why I am jealous. Yes, I could not have been in that four-man band. That's for sure.
So I want to ask you another thing. You touched the carrot, so the story.
Okay.
Did it really happen?
Yeah, that happened. The Nogueira brothers, when they... Of course it didn't happen. Of course it didn't. But I'll remind you how the story went in case we have new viewers. Is I was claiming about the Nogueira brothers. And don't forget, at that time, these guys were on top of the world, right? Little Nog's making his run, and Big Nog at least had already won the championship. At least by then. But possibly was even the sitting champion. I don't think that's... But close. I bring that up because I wasn't kicking guys when they were down. I mean, these guys were on top of the world. And, I said that when they first came to America, that they were trying to feed a carrot to a bus because they thought it was a horse. And that was it. I mean, that's not all that great of material, I must say. But for some reason, of all the things I've said, that one has stuck around. So maybe it's a better line than I gave it credit for. But anyway,
it made
the carrot in the bus.
An Israeli podcast host run and find a yellow bus because our buses are green.
Oh, okay.
All over his city to bring to a table.
Well, a green bus would have worked. We didn't say the color of just a bus, but you did a great job.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
So one thing that I was really interested in, because you were one of those fighters, when you fought, you always liked to fight the baddest guy, like who's the toughest guy out there, and you always gunned for that guy. And after retiring and doing some other things, do you have these visions of if I was in my prime right now, I would like to fight that guy?
Yeah, yes, and I think more so when you retire, and that competitive drive is really there when you are competing. But when you're not competing, and maybe not in the practice room as much, and not as in good a shape, and these kind of things, they look even more appealing because they look even scarier. Yeah. These guys look even scarier, and the sport has grown so much. You go back to Adesanya, and I think Conor maybe deserves some credit for this. But these guys they're kind of different. Khabib has his own way. And when I say different, I mean, they're better. They're more advanced than the guys I was coming up with and the guys I was looking up to. The Mark Kerrs and the Mark Colemans of the world. As good and as effective as they were, if you looked at their skills versus some of the guys we're discussing now, they are vastly different. But that can create a fear and an anxiety. But I'm one of the guys that likes that. Yeah. I like fear, and I like anxiety, and I like taking on those challenges. So I think it can be even more seductive or compulsive to sometimes sit back and fantasize. Be jealous. The arenas are getting bigger. More people are walking out. I was there. I got to call that fight with ESPN, Adesanya, and Whitaker. But being in that arena, 57,000 people, I'm looking around. I can't even see them. They look like bugs. The building's so big. I was green with envy. Oh, I was so jealous, of the athletes that got to compete that night. And I mean that it was a very cool thing for them.
So, but
But is there a fighter that you...
Oh, right, the question.
Yeah.
Back to the question you asked. No, is there a fighter? No, I don't think there is specifically. I'm kind of on the other side of things. When I was competing, there was an anger, and there was a competition, a competitive side, and there was a jealousy of he's in front of me, I want to take his spot. There was all these different things that went into it. But when you retire, there's more of an appreciation where you can look at okay, now's your time. Now you have to be jealous, and you have to be angry, and you got to grab the microphone, you got to get attention, you got to take what you view as yours. And so I think I appreciate it more. So no, I don't think I look at anybody now. And they're younger guys, and so, some of them are nice to me now. They look at me, they show me this respect. And so, no, I don't really want to take from them as much as to help spread the word about them. Storytelling. Now I have my job to do too, which is to help tell their story.
And about your job of telling stories, as soon as the American Gangster retired, the fighters were not scared like he's gonna call me out. the reporters started to like, this Ch'eyl. And
Yeah, he's going to take our job.
And he does.
Well, thank you. Thank you, fellas, huh? Won't take your job, but I'm contributing to it. We're all helping each other here.
What a politician.
So tell me, so you got the divorce. How does that tie into the hair?
Nah.
I mean, I didn't fully get the connection. I want to be part of this.
Midlife crisis, man. Midlife
okay,
crisis.
that's what we're saying. I feel like we got to pay that
crisis.
off to the
Yeah,
audience,
midlife
right? Or
crisis.
otherwise, they're going to ask you on Twitter and go, hey, you know, with the divorce.
No, we
and
don't
the
have
hair.
Twitter here.
Really?
No,
That
it's not
surprises
big
me.
in Israel. We
But
have Instagram.
It exists.
It exists, but
Okay.
we don't use it.
That's not what you use.
It's not. We use
Instagram, Facebook.
I will tell you, Twitter was that in America too, but Instagram has taken over. I'm
Yeah.
still just a Twitter guy, but to your point, yeah, Instagram apparently is the better
it's-
product.
Yeah, it's because you have the pictures and
Nobody
stuff.
using ICQ? No, that's
What about Facebook? Is that big here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Facebook is-
Instagram kind of took over.
Okay.
Facebook is more for older people.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. In America, Facebook is still #1. That's why I asked that.
Yeah?
I hear worldwide. Don't they have like 2 billion? It's only
Yeah,
like
yeah,
6
it's-
billion
Yeah,
people
but
alive.
it's because it's becoming a economics show. But it's
They're doing their own currency now.
They-
you know about that?
Facebook?
Looking at doing
Really?
that? Yeah.
They bought
Libra.
Instagram, if I'm
Well,
not
they bought
mistaken.
Instagram.
Yeah.
They bought WhatsApp. They're buying everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If they're trying to buy Takedown, the official podcast of Ego Total, there's a number.
It's out there somewhere,
It's out
right?
there somewhere.
Let's
Yeah.
talk, Zuckerberg.
Okay, let's make it an economics show. Now, you're in Israel, and I will try to make you an offer
Okay.
because you're in Israel,
Thank you.
and you're buying stories.
Okay.
And to quote a great movie, Don't Mess with the Zone, I will give you a price, my friend. I have a story to offer you.
All right.
Okay, let's do debating. So the story is taking place in while I was in the army, but you can change it to a college. I'm helping selling it. Change it to a college, change it to a sports team, whatever you like. So me and my best friend, childhood friend, were in the army and we're sitting home, and we never took a sick day off, never. And we're like, okay, we have to go back to the army on Sunday. Let's go on Saturday to a hospital, try to take some sick days. We're like, okay. We drove to a hospital, and he's like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say I shot a rifle, dislocated my shoulder. They will give me something, at least a couple of days off. Okay, I know that I'm pretty good actor, but not that good, and I don't know the medical terms, so I call my friend who's a nurse, and she's like, what I gotta do? She's like, tell about your back, the kidneys, the people don't know how to figure it out, they will give you sick days. So my friend is walking in, and he's like, I dislocated my shoulder, yeah. And the doctor's like, no, you have an infection. They gave him this big jar of pills, and he took 3 days sick days. Now, I'm afraid of needles, like terrified of needles. I see a needle, I drop on the floor, I become white, sweaty, everything. So I go into to the doctor's office, I have my facts, I have my acting, and I'm acting my ass off. I'm like Al Pacino in The Scent of a Woman. I'm acting my ass off, and the doctor's like, okay, we have to give you a Voltaren shot. And I'm like, damn. And my friend outside the office is laughing his ass off because I'm going to take a shot.
Sure.
So I'm sweating, I'm white, I'm almost passing out. I'm like, okay, let's do it. I need the sick days. I roll up my sleeve, put it on the table. The doctor is walking. My friend is speaking from the door, laughing his ass off. I'm sweating, almost passing out. The doctor comes back. What are you doing? And I'm like, waiting for my shot. He's like, no, dummy, lay on the table, take off your underwear. There's where the shot goes. My friend dropped dead. I got 5 sick days, and it was a walk of shame home.
Okay, now hold on a second. You only lost me in one place. So the shot in the butt is better than the shot in the arm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like you had to disclose that to the audience. You only said you were scared of needles.
No, but
you
that's
didn't say,
that's your job.
But the butt is better.
Yeah, the butt.
Okay. Because it's important. He can't just get his 3 sick days, then you get 3 sick days later.
I got 5.
You got to do them in unison.
No.
Because you guys are going fishing or you guys are hanging out. I mean, it's got to be the same time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you got it, and you got poked in the ass.
Yeah.
You know, the story, I expected a little more. Well, I mean, you worked hard. I thought you told it very well. It was kind of long. Confused me at the end. He stuck you in the ass and gave you 5 days off.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have said that.
Stuck you in the ass.
Yeah.
Stuck you in the ass. It got us.
Yeah, hey, I was in the army. My buddy did this shotgun thing. I got poked in the ass. We both got some days off. The end.
No, but the funny thing is I'm terrified of needles.
Is that funny?
Yeah.
Is
You
it?
have to be there. You have been there.
I mean, it's a
You killed
comment.
me, like-
Is that funny? I don't know. I trust you. All right.
And that body is now the godfather of my
So no
kid.
deal, huh?
No deal.
No
No
deal.
deal. Okay, we'll try again next
You
year.
really buy questions from people?
I bought some stories from Chris Lieben for $100.
Yeah, I
they
heard.
bombed. They all bombed. I gave them back. He kept the money. They're his stories. He can have them back.
And he told them.
Yeah, he had some white trash stories. He was going around telling the stories that I had. He's not allowed to tell those stories. I told him that. Those are now my stories. I caught him doing that a couple of times. I was getting ready to do a book. I needed some stories. I bought Chris Lieben's stories, but then I heard him trying to tell people those stories. Like, those aren't your stories, Chris. That happened to me.
I paid you for that.
Yeah, I paid you for that.
Come on.
I got that idea from a Seinfeld. If anybody's seeing this, it's like, hey, Ch'L, you're stealing a bit. I know I'm stealing the bit, but I still applied the bit, and Chris Lieben took the money, and then he's been trying to tell these stories like they're his. They were his. They're now mine.
Yeah. Can we see the contract? We're in Israel.
It was verbal. It was a verbal deal.
Verbal deal
It was
is
all
not-
about honor.
Martial arts, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. About the martial arts.
What can we expect next from the bad guy?
For me, well, I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. It really is the main event. I got to tell you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing Linton at heavyweight. I'm glad he's at heavyweight. You know, there was a narrative that he was too small for heavyweight or too small for Sergey, which I bought into because he was coming up from 205. I said, what do you weigh? He said 241. 241 pounds? This guy's a heavyweight.
He's big.
No way around it. Steve Miocic only weighed, what, 231 for the fight with Cormier, and Cormier was 236.
And he wasn't lean.
Yeah, but just to put in perspective,
Yeah.
nobody's as lean as Linton, though, right? Seeing Linton
Yeah,
with his shirt
yeah,
off looks like
he's-
he's carved out of stone. But the point is, that narrative's false that he's too small. I think he can move around with Sergey. Sergey's a tall order for anybody. That's a hard fight.
Yeah. And I want to ask you last question because we talked about it with Antonio. I talked about it with Randy. Big John, if you could change one thing in this sport, what would it be?
Well, okay, so here's the fantasy, because this couldn't actually happen, so I wouldn't move for it. But that's how I'm interpreting your question. Like, you get anything you want, Ch'L, what do you want? I wish there was a forfeiture clause. All sports have a forfeiture except this one. And I think when two guys sign a contract, if one guy calls in sick, he loses, he just loses by forfeit. Yeah, I came from the wrestling background, we would do that. The other guy didn't step on the mat for any reason. The guy that did still stepped out there, put his straps up, got his hand raised, and moved through the bracket. This Super Bowl, which is a big event in America. But the Super Bowl for the next 4 years has a date, a time, and a venue set. If any team chickens out for any reason, they lose.
Yeah.
And you move on. The Olympic Games, which is the most respected sport organization in the world, if you don't show up, you lose. That's it. We don't run it back. You know, you got these fake tough guys in this sport, and it is infuriating. These guys aren't tough anymore. They're skilled and they're talented, but they're not tough like they used to be. You got to beg them to do it. You got to dangle a carrot. You got to call this guy and call this guy. Then they got to call you back because they got to go think about it and talk to their What's there to think about? It's a fist fight. We're not building a piano. I mean, of all of the walks of society, this is the lowest rung. What's lower than a cage fighter? But somehow these guys are some level of sophistication because they're on TV. You're not. You failed. You didn't stay in school. You didn't study hard enough. You didn't work hard enough. Get in the cage and fight. That's it. It's not some nice and beautiful thing, but it's a goddamn fist fight. Who do you think you are? You got to go talk to somebody, get a manager and a lawyer involved? You lose. You lose. You don't want to walk out there? You lose. It's a tough guy contest.
And that's what was a minute with Ch'L about changing the sport.
Yeah, change the sport. Change the sport for the better. Call it what it is.
Yeah. We want to thank you because your time is super valuable.
It is valuable.
And we're welcomed.
I just don't understand. Okay, here's the thing. I guess here's the thing. If the premise of the story is that you hate needles, but you took the needle in the ass and therefore all is well and your friend's laughing, I feel like you just don't like needles in the arm. You don't like to see the needle.
I don't like needles at all.
Then what's the difference of the position that you had to be in?
No,
What's the
ass
relevance
is always
to the
funnier
label?
than an arm.
Okay. Ass is funnier than arm. I concede to that. I do concede to that. Ass is funnier than arm.
And the premise is that from like taking a pill, I got shot in the ass. And got those 5 days. And it's a story that my friend won't let me forget. When he saw my pale ass shaking on the table and getting a shot while I'm passing out on that table.
All right, now it's getting better. There was a passing out on the table. Now I'm seeing it. All right.
Thank you.
What do I do now?
Underwear down.
Yeah.
Needle up his ass.
Yeah, my best friend is
In his ass. See,
saliva.
up the ass is funnier than in the ass. Well done. Well done.
We're getting it better. And now the price is up. Thank you, Chel. We appreciate for you being here in Israel because
thank you.
It's not an easy time for us in our country. And thank you for the time. Thank you for touching the carrot in the bus.
You wrap the show as long as that army store. I mean, right? Here's
Yeah,
your
but-
hat. What's your hurry?
Yeah, but you know, I'm pushing the envelope with how much time I have you on the air.
What do I do?
Nothing.
Do
We
I,
have to
do I
say-
say thank you? Do I get up and walk out?
Yeah.
I get up and walk out?
No, you have to say something.
Well,
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for listening.
Where's the hummus?
I'm getting some hummus tonight. I'm getting some hummus and some warm
Don't
bread.
do it tonight, man.
I
Do
went
it.
right up the road to Mantra. Do you know the place I'm talking about? It's right over here.
What's the
Mantra restaurant, but it's Mantra and then something. But it's right on the water. Right on
It's
the water.
tourist traps.
Okay.
Yeah, tourist trap.
Oh,
No,
Tourist
don't do that.
traps.
Oh, it was so good.
But it's a tourist trap.
Like they came around with appetizers. You didn't order appetizers. They came around with this huge tray.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then you just take what you want and then they bill you that way.
That's the Israeli way to...
Oh, that's
Yeah.
common?
Yeah,
Oh,
to
I love
fill
it.
you up with a lot of
thought that was
salads,
great.
and then
And then-
you order the meat, and they bring
Comes
you
a
like
little smaller, but-
But go to Yaffo, those places, they will
I
treat
thought
you
it was
well.
great the way they came over with the try. That was really fun for me. See all the foods already. Oh, I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah, I thought it was a fun way to do it. But that's common here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
We don't do that in America.
That's a
We
tradition.
should.
Yeah.
All right. I've
Yeah,
had
but
it with you both.
But you have the
Go ahead.
refill.
Yes, you have the refill. Oh, you don't refill there.
No.
man, no.
So every Coke I got, I had to pay for here? I didn't actually look at the bill to know that. All right.
Sure.
That seems fair, though. It really does.
Yeah.
I don't know why you get a free refill in America. Somebody started doing that, and then everybody had to do it.
But your junk food is looking better than our...
We started doing it. Can we talk about this shit? Yeah.
2 minutes we have.
We started doing this. We had Subway coming in
Yep.
to Israel, and they were the first ones to like do the refill thing, and it was open, and people just refilled, went to the back here, refill, went to the back here.
Sure.
Hey, can you give a refill for me too? Yeah, no, refill here.
You're in Israel.
So that went down the drain.
Yeah, they do. That happens. Yeah.
no,
I
but-
mean, that's a real thing.
Yeah, but we're in Israel. Everybody's here. They
Sure.
are born to
Sadly.
be the businessmen.
Right, the honor system would have been nice, and then everybody could keep getting refills. But the honor system's a tough system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
A hero specialist.
Sure.
it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Not here.
Work on your accent, and then maybe your taxi driver
We're a
will
little bit
taking
greedy.
less.
Sure.
pride.
We're a little bit greedy.
Clever. You're a little bit clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody told me how much.
Sure. That's right.
I can take as much as I want.
That's right.
We
All right,
chip
gentlemen.
in. We chip in.
Respect.
Thank you, Chel.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ido.
Thank you.
Thank me.
Boom.
ואנחנו בטייקדאון, עשינו עוד פעם רילוקיישן. אני ארקדי סצ'קובסקי, נמצא איתי עידו פריינטה. And we have here the team of a father and a son, straight from Bellatour, 8 win seconds, win in Bellatour. Mr. Antonio McKee and AJ McKee, how are you doing, sirs?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Pretty good. We're sitting in a fancy hotel in Tel Aviv. It couldn't be better. First of all, straight ahead, I want to ask you, how many times did you play Rocketman since you landed?
Not too much.
Not too much? So,
What do you think about the weather?
Yeah.
I love it, man.
No, I'm not talking about the weather.
It's
I'm
raining,
talking
but
about
not the weather. Raining.
Oh.
Did you wake up in the middle of the night? or
Yeah, I
not?
thought it was an alarm. I didn't know what it was. I went to the balcony. Like, hey, Dad, is this what wake up alarm
smoking?
is this?
I thought Godzilla was coming out the ocean. And I heard sirens and shit. King Kong is where?
So put the safety or the situation aside. How is it your first time in Israel? Or
Yes.
in Antonio?
Yes.
How is it in Israel?
Oh, I
the
love
food,
it.
the people.
I love it. People are awesome, man. Everyone's so friendly. If you just open up, you know. The weather's beautiful. I was sitting on the beach 2:30 in the morning last night. So, weather's great. Water's warm. I love it here, man. I'd love to come back.
You gotta
I told my
fight here
dad I
next
could
year.
live here.
You got to fight here next year.
Man, that'd be an honor. Honestly, that'd be an honor to come out here and put on a show for everyone.
Listen, everybody, we got a scoop. We try to make this up. Chaim Gozali, try to make this happen.
Yeah, man, it would be awesome if you fought for the belt here. Ooh. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
We got to get it before a year. That's too long.
Yeah.
Oh. Maybe the second defense. The second defense.
I mean, you're probably gonna fight Pitbull in the end of the tournament, right?
I don't know if he makes it, man. I don't know. I've kind of dreamed and had visions of like fighting certain people in my career, and I saw Emmanuel Sanchez before I choked him out. So I don't know if Pitbull makes it or not, but for me it doesn't matter, man. I'm going to get that check and that belt.
But I really think that the dream fight of that tournament is you versus Pitbull.
Well, even if it doesn't happen, he has my second belt that I need, so I'll be coming up to 55 after the tournament. So
you are a big featherweight.
I mean, I'm just getting older, getting bigger, you know.
How old are you?
24.
Oh, man.
So,
man.
24 in 8 seconds.
But many more of those.
How was it to win in 8 seconds? So that's nobody here in this room won in 8 seconds via knockout in Belator. So we want to ask you.
It was fun, man. The whole night was surreal. I was sitting in the back after my dad fought. I think I was just so hyped and turned up in that moment that once he won, I was just like, all right, like I have a job to go do. I had everyone in the back with me, my whole team, friends, family. I told my dad, I was like, I'm going to knock him out. I said, I'm getting Bellator's fastest knockout. And sure enough, I went out there and almost tied it. So it was a second short. I think the ref stopped it. Everyone,
you know, the MMA,
man, it's short enough.
Yeah, you know? MMA is the only sport when people are like, yeah, I done it in 8 seconds. It's the only thing in life that you would say I done it in 8 seconds.
We want to think. The other things, I did it in 6 hours.
6 hours, yeah, 3 rounds, and I lost via decision. So, Antonio, you have this camp. We talked to Aviv before a couple of days ago, and he talked about your camp. You are a legend in the sport of mixed martial arts, and you have your own gym, and the gym is unique because it's small, and you're not like walking like everybody sign up for yada 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 yada. And can you explain what your vision for that gym was and how is it today?
Well, you know, when I was fighting, I trained with Chuck, Rampage, everybody. I've been with the legends, and I was always frustrated how everything was. It's just not professional. The way the sport is in America is a little different. And so I was just obsessed with just making it right. And I don't have contracts. You come train with me, it's just honor, you know, but it's hard work. And I want fighters to be better men, not just fighting, but in life. And I had a vision. God said, I will have 5 world champions. And he said, bring them up to know who I am. And I was like, well, I don't even know who he is. So it was kind of weird, you know what I mean? It was a very spiritual thing that happened. And everyone that comes, it's a spiritual thing, man. You just have to understand it or talk to them. I don't bring them. They show up, and I don't know what leads them there. But when they get there, I'm able to teach them, and I'm a really good teacher, and I'm very underrated, which is okay, because when you watch our guys get these fast knockouts, these fast submissions, these highlight reels in the mixed martial art game, you gotta respect it. And I'm not doing it for like you said, I got this big gym. I got love in my gym, love and spirituality.
We have a saying in Israel that we like to say, don't let the facts confuse you.
Right.
We have 8 seconds win knockout, 11 seconds submission by Aviv, so the numbers are
and it's Joey Davis knockout in the first minute.
Yeah.
Kimbo Slice knockout. Adrian, the knockout knee highlight reel, 5 million views. We're kicking ass.
Yeah, and
I call it the body shop takeover.
Yeah, when first I saw trainings in body shop, because in all the podcasts they're always showing body shop, and people are like looking in fear almost, like this underground.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah,
why? I've always wondered that myself. I'm like, why are people scared of us?
Because they think I'm crazy, but he's crazy.
No, he is crazy, dude. 24 years of my life with him, he's fucking crazy, bro. But crazy knows crazy.
My first thought was when I saw training in body shop was like Rocky 3, when he's like, go train in the real gym.
Yeah.
Come on, stop with the fancy things. Train in the real gym.
You know what? We train the spirit. Okay, you go to these pretty gyms, they got all this equipment and they do everything. But in our gym, it's hard work. And when you get done, you know you're ready. There's no question.
How was it to fight? And maybe you got some tips from Aviv, from Chaim, fighting on the same card, because when you retired, like stop fighting professionally, you.
But I never retired.
Yeah, not retired.
That was a rumor.
Yeah.
They didn't want me to fight anymore because they didn't like my style.
And that's the style that makes champions today.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And you haven't started yet fighting professionally, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh no, I'm 15-0 now.
No, when
your father
had his last fight.
I was just watching. Yeah, I kind of was just watching.
And then you're both on the same card.
Yeah.
Fighting one after the other. How was the feeling? How was the nerve? And he's your coach.
It was surreal. I couldn't explain it. The entire night was just surreal, you know, being at that arena, at the Forum, seeing that red wall with all those legendary names on it, and just, I don't know, me feeling like I knew I was the main attraction there, you know. I knew we had a story to tell, something to do. So when he went out there and fought, he told me, he said, if I lose, you have to go in. If I win, you have to go in. So
works for me.
Yeah.
No pressure, no pressure. But I was like, yeah. So he went out there, did exactly what he needed. I was scared. I was freaking out. It was different watching him fight from being a kid and then being grown and actually being in there and experiencing being cut open and knowing like the damage that can actually be done in there.
Yeah.
So
and the aftermath after a fight, because we see on TV a win, a loss, no matter what.
They don't see when next day you're at home, you're limping, you can't walk. People don't see that, you know. So it's never something you want to see anyone go through, let alone your father. So it was just a surreal night to go in there and show up and show out like that.
So how would you describe the relationship with your father, being a father and a coach? Because a lot of times these mixed relationships. Okay, I'm talking to my father, I'm talking to my coach. My coach has something to say, but my father has something to say.
You gotta be able to separate them. You gotta be able to separate them.
Are you guys able to separate them?
Oh hell
yeah! When we walk in that gym, it's all business. You know what I mean? It's business, and then at the same time, we challenge each other to make each other get better. But it's having that respect at the same time, you know. Sometimes we always don't see eye to eye. That's any father-son relationship. But me being the son, he's always told me, remove your emotions and do what's right.
Yeah, because one of the things when you're dealing with your coach is one of the things that you can ask a question, but you can't question me. You understand what I mean? Like,
no, I don't mind.
You gotta
the authority.
Yeah.
No, but you know, when I tell you to do something, you need to work. You need to do that. After we finish, we're done. Okay, then we're gonna talk. Man, look, maybe we can do something different, but not before. This is when relationships between coaches and athletes get, you know, destroyed. When athletes become, you know,
they feel they're bigger.
They feel they're okay. I already know more than you.
You know, it's like a lot of people were saying, like, my father trained me no matter in what sport, and when he had a team of or a camp, he was like, no, but he kicked my ass more than everybody else.
Yeah. Still the same thing.
Still the same thing.
The same. I could go through anybody from any weight in our gym. As soon as I go with my dad, it's like, fuck. It's like, damn. It's just different, you know.
He's lying. He be kicking my ass. I mean, I was like, what? Am I getting old? This is crazy right now. No, but he's the kind of guy, man. You can't play with him. But you know what? We don't have any problems. I'm more like the kid. He's more like the dad. But when it comes to training, I switch Heckle and Jekyll. Yeah. It's time to get busy. I don't crack joke. I'm getting the work in. And then when we're done, we sit around and we laugh. We have so much fun. We're crazy. We're just a good time.
So when I saw pictures on social networks, Instagram, of your gym, your camp, one of the things that actually is shown that the gym is fun. Like, people at the end of the workout, they're all sweaty, they're dead tired, but they're having fun. And a person like Kimbo Jr., Baby Slice, to choose to go to your camp because he have to fill the shoes of his father in a great name like Kimbo, and he chooses to go to your gym, and he's loyal, and he stayed there, in your gym for how long?
2 years now, I think.
Yeah,
it's like
2
2 years.
2 years, and not switching camps, and not like going where the it's telling about something. And like I want to ask you, what is your vision forward for your gym? Like, okay, the gym will be getting bigger. I will train those guys to a goal, to become champions. What is your vision for your gym?
I don't have a vision. I just roll on. It goes as it goes, you know. Like I say, I don't have any contracts. It's more love. If you can come in my gym and last 2 weeks in just a training alone, you're good. But we train so different. You'd have to be there to understand it. We don't beat each other up. We're very strong, very healthy when we go into a fight.
I don't even train with a mouthpiece. Like I don't like to get hit. So it's like if you're hitting me hard enough, bust my lip, like we're going too hard, you know?
Yeah.
So
I have a book that's coming out. It's called The Fighter's Secret. And I'm breaking it down. There's no structure in MMA. Everyone thinks, oh, I got to go over here. I got to go over there. I got to go there. No, you need a coach that understands the sport, that understands all the angles of the sport. And that's what I did. I had to humble myself. And I had to say, for my son's sake, for Kimbo Slice's sake, and all the other guys, Aviev's sake, I had to go outside of my realm and get better and understand. I'm not the best at everything, but I'm good at everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
you're good at mixing it up.
I gotta ask something. You know, in the world today of, you know, what can we do? It's a materialistic world. How does your gym, you know,
stay in float
if
when
it's
you
always small, if it's always
Yeah.
like the small team, how does it profit the gym itself?
I'm not in it for the money.
So you do anything else for a living, or
Yeah, I sell drugs.
we will cut that.
I'm a hustler. I live in America.
this is the crazy part I talk about. I don't know.
I steal cars.
Who comes up with this? Like you're from LA. You can't say shit like that. Like people believe that shit.
The Fed's been watching me anyway. What does it matter? You know what I mean? I feel it. No, you know, I do all kinds of things of entertainment. You know, like I said, I'm having a good life. I just watch my son. I don't require anything.
Yeah.
He makes the money. He coaches.
So you have these fighters, and they have, and you said there's no contracts, but they don't pay the gym. They how does it work?
Well, I get 10%, 15%, 20% if I
Okay.
get the fight, but I don't think 20% is too much for
No, it's not.
for managers.
No, it's not.
Yeah, Ido is saying because Ido owns the gym and
let me
he's,
explain it. Because this isn't the type of sport where there's a retirement or a pension. It's not a professional sport yet. This is entertainment. Okay, so being that it's entertainment, then let's have fun. But if you try to make this a legitimate sport, which as fighters we say it is, but there's no way some of these managers should be taking 20%. It doesn't make sense. And the trainer gets 10, 5? It's crazy.
So what's the difference between MMA and a professional sport?
Okay, in a professional sport, look, you have a union, you have benefits, you have retirement, you have pension, you have insurance, you have medical. In MMA, you're on your own. What you make is what you make, and that's it.
You know that.
Wait, do you see that happening?
A fighters union?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to happen real soon because, look, what's going to happen is the fighters from my past and my era are pushing for it because we see the damage that's being done to these young fighters. It's just, unfortunately, we're blessed in our gym. We don't get hit. We do all the hitting. But other gyms, there's a lot of styles that are taking a lot of punishment. Yeah. And what's to say when they're my age, 50 years old, they're busted up and can't fight. They can't even go get a regular job.
Yeah, because they wasted all of their good years
making $1,500, $2,000.
in a sport. Yeah, in a sport, and not in education, not in trying to learn how to operate a computer or something.
So you made $100,000, and you got to give at least 35% of that to someone.
To someone, and I have to ask because, you know, when I spoke to smart persons in this sport, and I will drop the name of the smart persons, not the dummies. And I ask, what would you make different in this sport? Like Randy Couture said, a union, a free market. Those are the two things that have to happen.
Right.
John McCarthy said the same thing. The other people are like, 175, 5 rounds, 3 rounds.
They're not educated, and they're young.
Yes.
See, me, John McCarthy, Randy, Rampage, I was in the gates in the very beginning, and we saw that. And if you saw Randy go up against the UFC, you saw Tito Ortiz go up against the UFC, nobody's ever won because of that contract. I was the one that said, no, I filed a lawsuit, an antitrust lawsuit against the UFC. And then I got in a lot of trouble for that. I started getting death threats. Like, it's a big game. Yeah. They bought that thing for less than $2 million. They sold it for $4 billion. Most on your average sports make anywhere between 8 and 15%. The UFC makes anywhere between 75 and 85%.
Wow.
So most professional sports are paying the 75, 80 out. And it's completely the opposite. So this is why you don't have a fighters union.
And you have to think about it. Who's the Jewish? We are, or
that's the $100 million check Floyd cashing in.
Yeah.
You know.
So what's the future holds for Antonio McKee, and what's the future holds for AJ? That's December 21st.
December 21st, man. Another highlight reel knockout. That's step. That would be step what, 3 or 2? No, step 2. And then step 3. It's round 3. Step 4 is secure that bag, secure that belt.
See, we're a little smarter, and I understood a long time ago how good he was. His first fight, I said, Scott Coker, come see my son. Everyone thinks he's like me. Take him down, ground and pound. Now, all of a sudden, my style is the most popular. Look at Abid, what's his name? Khabib. You know, all these guys that are doing this.
The two dolls are the same style.
And it's funny because he has the weird... At the wig is blonde, but the Moors. Remember, there's the Moors actually helped the Russians fight, and they beat Napoleon. Yeah, the Moors, the Black Moors, and they have a ceremony where they wear the wigs. But he put the white wig on. I don't understand that. But anyway, not to say, but now my style is much more common and more popular because there's no damage being taken. But for me, I can fight tomorrow. I'm healthy. I took care of myself. I stay away from steroids. We train smart, and I'm teaching my guys that. So a lot of guys don't want to leave. They want to stay because I'm constantly feeding them and making them better. Everybody in the gym fights better. Aviv is really good at jiu-jitsu, but he's got to submit AJ or me or the other guys. He's struggling to do that. So he's naturally going to get better and better and better.
Your time is really expensive, and we... want to thank you for spending
I don't want to go. I want to stay here.
No, we're going out tonight.
Oh, you don't want to go out with me, brother. Hey, no, me and you can go anywhere with that hairstyle, brother. You're the man.
We want to go out.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Okay, I want to go out.
I'm married with a 1-year-old kid. I'm not going
He's
anywhere.
got a 2-year-old.
Really?
The machine works well.
They still swim.
Man.
Stronger than ever.
I want to say thank you for the time.
We're honored to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It's a blessing, man, to come out here.
I will be back.
Visit the Holy Land.
And we will have you again here or in a studio or in a bar, wherever you like. חברים, אנחנו נחזור עם האורח הבא שלנו. טייקדאון, חזרנו. אני עדיין ארקדי סצ'קובסקי, זה עדיין השותף לפשע שלי, עידו פריינטה. And we have a legend at our table, Mr. Royce Gרייסי. How are you doing, sir?
Very good, thank you.
You're a casual visitor here in Israel.
Twice a year.
Almost like a resident, man.
Yeah, almost like a resident.
Soon.
Maybe it will be Royce Gרייסי Rabinovich.
Yeah. One day, hey.
Maybe.
Never know.
I want to ask you, you came here for Bellatour in Tel Aviv, and we are facing a difficult time here in Israel with the bombings, everything.
Wait. Is that difficult? You guys are always like this.
Yeah, I'm
I thought
treat-
this was normal
I'm-
life,
I'm
normal day.
You see, you understand,
Yeah.
but most of the tourists that come here, they think, oh my God, no, that's every day here.
I'm taking a point from my host exam. I'm treating him like a foreigner.
Yeah, really.
It is my
Yeah,
bad.
He's a local.
This is
Yeah.
normal.
You trained the Israeli army not long, couple of days ago. How was it? How was it to see? Because here in Israel, where it's regular, we all served. I served, Ido served, the cameraman served, everybody here is in the everybody serves.
The beauty is that everybody is willing to learn, you see. If it's good, if they like it, they adapt, they incorporate in their system. If they don't like it, they leave it alone. But they have an open mind. Israelis have open mind to learn. That's very good.
You're now ambassador for Belator. What do you say to fighters that are coming to you and say, okay, we have to go to Israel? I'm a little bit afraid, I'm a little bit nervous. Do they have camels there?
Okay, I remember the first time I came over. How long ago was that?
Wow, that was 2003?
2003, I think,
I think,
yes.
yeah, 2003.
2003, 2004. But anyways, first time I came over, I was like, my God, they blew up all the buildings, all this in the war. And I remember Dave Benjamin called me, it's like, no, it's not like that. It's like when we watch the TV about America and we see Compton in America. It's like in Israel. Is that like this all over? I was like, no, it's much peaceful. It's like, yeah, same over here, don't worry.
And one more thing, if you have to say something to a fighter, a tourist that have to come to Israel, a couple of good things that you see in Israel after being here for so many times, what would you...
Okay, I trust the Israeli defense.
That's
it. I cannot say anything else anymore.
Thing.
We did our
I
job.
think
That's a good thing.
that, yeah, says everything right there. He's like, hey, it reminds me a lot of Brazil, the beach, the weather, the people. You see, we have more fruits in Brazil, but exotic fruits, but the beaches and the weather, the people reminds me a lot of Brazil. So it's a unfortunate that there is, in Brazil we don't have war, but we have the crime.
Yeah.
You see,
So it's the same.
same, yeah, that's the same.
Give or afraid of something.
Give or take.
But I trust the Israeli defense. Not one time since 2003 that I've been coming over that I felt unsafe. Not one time.
That's good. You know that Brazil is my favorite country to go visit. I've been there 10 times already, and every time I go there, it's like, oh man, it's so good to be here. Probably because there's a lot of similarities, and you know I can feel the atmosphere in Brazil like I'm home, but in vacation.
The people talk the same. Sometimes we shout at each other, we shout, and for a foreigner, it looks like we're yelling and we're fighting. No, we're just discussing the party tomorrow. It's like same thing when we hear you guys talk and shout at each other and shout. You guys all just discussing something friendly. It's like, you guys are not fighting? No.
If you put hands on mute and he will talk with the hands, everything you think is Israeli.
Yeah, yes.
That's good. So, Royce, 26 years.
26 years.
26 years.
I'm old, man.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like wine. Just gets better.
Since the first UFC, yes.
Yeah.
The first time that the world discover about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and about MMA.
How a fight really looks like. You know, everybody thought that, you know, like in the movie, he's going to kick and he's going to jump, he's going to somersault backwards, and all of a sudden comes this guy and he grabs onto these people and he puts them down, and you don't really understand what he's doing, and all of a sudden his opponent submits. And wasn't back then as flashy as people thought it was, but everybody knew the effectiveness. And it was you. It was you that was putting the word out. Do you feel like, okay, do you feel like, okay, I had a job back then?
It was, the way I feel like is I'm a vehicle to show my father's work. to show where my family work all their lives back in Brazil. So I was just the tool to show to the world.
It is a big responsibility.
I didn't look at it like that. I look as just another day at the
Of
office.
course, I remember. I think it was UFC 2. The first UFC that I watched was UFC 2, and
there was 4 fights in one
Yes.
night with no time limit, no weight division.
but I remember,
No rules.
I remember you talking, and you said the sentence, "I don't care. You put the devil on the other side, and I'm gonna walk into fight." And I was like, "Whoa, this guy's serious." But you said it. It wasn't like, okay, you said it because to sound nice on TV. You said it with some truth, and whoever listened to you talking said, "Okay, this guy is talking the truth. You put the devil on the other side. He's really gonna walk into fight."
That means I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
But then again, what is being afraid? What's fear? Fear is a product of imagination. Doesn't exist.
People doesn't know that, but correct me if I'm wrong. That's the it's like a rumor that's spreading around the MMA community. You walked in the cage at UFC 1 as the smallest representative of Gracie's Jiu-Jitsu. The toughest guy in the Gracie family, by rumors, was Hickson.
Yes.
And they said if Hickson was fighting, he would kill everybody, including the ref.
I was the nice one.
Yeah.
That's why. The smallest
Yeah.
on the against the other competitors. Yes, I was the smallest. But you see, size doesn't matter, man.
Yeah, it's like
It's technique.
the mentality that like, okay, we have a sport that we're trying to represent our family. We're going to pick the smallest one. We take a chance against those big, muscled, beefed up wrestlers and fighters, and we put the smallest one.
Yeah, but that was the idea.
That was the idea.
The mentality is
To show the technique.
Yeah, they were trying to show everybody that I don't care how big you are. I know things that you don't know, and I can finish you.
If we put it somebody, another brother or cousin, that would be, let's say, more experienced in fighting, more violent or bigger, it might not make the impact that I made by being like my father. Before the fights, my father used to say, don't beat your opponents, don't hurt them, just win the fight, you see, but don't throw blows and elbows and blood, get them bloody. Just beat them nicely. That was the idea. My mother on the other side had a total different idea. My mother was like, your father is old. I want to see some blood. Oh my God. My mother was the mean one. The mom was the mean one.
I want to just on a personal level, the difference. I'm a huge movie fan. I like cinema, old movies, new movies, and the transition from, we have Bruce Lee over here, from movies like Bruce Lee had and all the 90s with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal, everybody that were doing kicks
They were
and
very
punches.
entertaining, by the way.
Yeah, but
I was a fan
on
too.
the other
I watched
hand,
those too.
yeah, but on the other hand, because of your influence and Gracie family name influence, nowadays nowadays you see John Wick. When Keanu Reeves actually went to train jiu-jitsu
and judo
and
do the
everything,
takedowns
and you see takedowns and arm bars, and okay, they finished with a bullet to the head, but it's still an arm bar.
But they incorporating, yes.
And that made the movies look more realistic and more fun. And that is one of the biggest influence that the other people can see that it become popular.
And for martial art in general,
Yeah.
you see, the movies, yes, it hit a specific crowd, but for martial arts in general, by creating the MMA and putting different styles to have to put it to the test, oh man, that went all over, viral all over the world. We have fighters from all over now, so...
I want to say thank you for 26 years of making my favorite sport and the sport that I follow for 26 years. I want to say it's an honor that you're spanning the anniversary of the 26th anniversary of the first UFC fight here in Israel. With the bombing, with everything, and
I thought those were fireworks.
That's
Because
a
Hans
firework.
was alive. And Hans was saying, "Man, I think they were doing fireworks for me." I was like, "No, Hans."
no, it's for me. It's 26 years. It's for me.
Yeah.
and really, we just want to say thank you.
Hey, I used to fight for free in Brazil. Now we get paid. You're welcome. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.
It's good. Thank you, Royce.
Thank you.